I think there's mixed opinions on accessors, and for folks who don't know what accessors are, in V3, we played around with multiple different APIs for this, but basically, when you want to call a method on a service, you need to access that service and then call the method on that service, right? So you would do like yield notifications, and then you would say notifications.notify. Accessors allow us to like have a helper thingy that allows you to directly call methods on a service. But there are a lot of problems with this. No, the first problem isn't even a technical problem. It's more of like a footgunny problem, which is that the second you call an accessor, this program now has a type of effect, whatever notifications, right? The service gets immediately leaked into the effect that is being called. And it's a foot gun in the sense that if you do this within another service's method, that service's method gets that requirement, and it's just a mess. So
You're leaking the
we
implementation.
decided,
You're basically
yeah,
leaking the
exactly.
implementation in the shape of the service, whereas the shape of the service should be just what you do and not what it requires to do it.
Did we ever get an either to result? Yeah, we can talk
Yeah.
about that too at some point. Yes, either is renamed to result. Tej, accessories are like necklaces or bracelets. Yes, exactly,
Yes,
Tej.
definitely those ones.
Good job. That is perfect. So besides the like more practical limitations, there were also technical limitations of accessors, specifically effect.tag or effect.service accessors. So like accessors that we would automatically generate for you. Under the hood, this used like a proxy to do the magic. And this is really like problematic from a TypeScript perspective, because the second you use an accessor, generic parameters get erased. So
Also,
methods that
some
did
kind of overloads gets like messed up as well.
exactly, yeah, like service overloads, like overloads get messed up, generics get erased. So like you'd have a method that looks like this on your service, and instead when you access it through the accessor proxy, it would collapse to this, and you'd end up with unknown.
The generics become
yeah, overloaded signatures were not preserved. So in V4, we've removed accessors entirely. And the most direct replacement for using accessors is this new automatically available property on a tag, which is use. So use accesses the service and then allows you to call methods on that service, and it returns like the it allows you to like get this type in the program that you return back, right? So instead of being implicit, which is what happens here, we have implicit accessing of the service and then using a method on that service. We've decided to make it explicit. And there's two methods. There's use, which takes an effectful callback, meaning you get to like call something that might return an effect. And then there's also useSync, which allows you to have a pure callback. So some services in effect have methods that do not return an effect, right? Like sometimes you have a method on your service that returns just a pure value. It would be kind of annoying if every time you wanted to use an accessor thingy, you had to then do like effect.succeed my pure value. So instead, we also have a useSync method that just allows the thing to be synchronous as well. So like if you have, for example, a service that has like a port property on it, you can use sync to get access to the port. And this is the type of the signature. I have to leave early. I wish I could stay for the 24-hour stream. I wish I could stay for the 24-hour stream. Who's doing that?
Not me.
That this all being said about use and accessors and blah 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 blah, we wanted to support the use case, but in reality, we still recommend yielding or like directly like accessing the service and then calling methods. In most cases, over use. And while use is convenient, it still has that same like practical problem of making it being prone to leaking dependencies into the shape of your service. So we still recommend like the pattern of like yielding your service first and then calling methods on it.
Now that you mention, we could probably have a rule in the LSP. You can opt in and say no use and no use sync.
We could probably add an LSP rule for that. Opt in though.
Yeah, opt in. Yeah.
I could see that. I could see the people being like,
What? Yeah, opt in, obviously.